Since 1989, Canada's first televised motorcycle magazine has been covering everything on two wheels. We've sampled new motorcycles from around the globe, toured North America from coast to coast, and interviewed some of the most interesting people on two wheels. So get set to keep your right hand cranked as Toyota Truck presents Motorcycle Experience.
Hello and welcome to Motorcycle Experience, the voice of motorcyclists everywhere. I'm Dave Hatch, and this week we're coming to you from the beautiful hills of Northumberland. As for our road test this week, we're going to head about another hour east of here to Shannonville Motorsport Park.
Also this week, we'll bring you another entry from our BMW Motorrad Ultimate Riding Tour Diary, captured in Newfoundland. Last week we recharged our batteries in Clarenville. Today we're off in search of the three hearts. Not the three of hearts, the three hearts: delight, desire, and content. Speaking of ultimate rides, with the score now tied 2 apiece in our 6-part Ultimate Challenge series, today we're setting up shop at the Sandalye Motocross circuit just south of Ottawa. Plus, later on, Aliki Carrion will continue her Learning Curve series with a look at the Honda CBR 125 Challenge, while our roving reporter Paul Connard will head up to Port Perry, Ontario, to introduce us to another loyal viewer. But first, we start the show with our Ride of the Week, MV Agusta's all-new hyper sports machine, the F4. When it comes to motorcycle racing, the marque MV Agusta is an Italian company with a racing heritage that's as rich and tasty as my neighbor's fettuccine. During the glory days of the 50s, 60s, and early 70s, MV Agusta dominated the European road racing scene, with riders with names like Surtees, Halewood, Reed, and of course the legendary Agostini, all in scoring over 35 world championships. Fast forward now to behold one of the brand's newest road racing inspired weapons, the sleek F4. At the heart of this machine is a fuel-injected, radial-valved 998cc inline 4. But it's the eye candy that truly impresses. The fully adjustable 50mm Marsacci fork with its monster radial monoblock Brembos. Then there's the chromalloy frame with its artfully welded tubes and castings, the single-sided swing arm, and just check out those wheels. And did I mention the 4 organ pipes exiting from under the rear saddle? It's gorgeous to look at, but how does it ride? Well, that's just what we asked road racing journalist Colin Fraser and longtime full-time professional road racer Steve Walker.
I have ridden MVs in the past, and I enjoyed them a lot. They're a lot of fun. They have a lot of personality. They can be a little bit raucous, a little bit, I don't want to say unfinished, but a little rough around the edges. So I was hoping that the bikes had kept their personality, hadn't become a universal style type sport bike, but maybe a little more polished. And I would say this bike nicely splits the difference. So right away, it's pretty refined. What really stood out for me initially is I remember these bikes being fairly peaky with the power up high. This thing has incredible torque and pretty good power delivery. It's a little bit bumpy down low, but at 4,000 or 5,000 RPM, this thing runs great, and you can do that in the tight turns. And of course, this is a bike that's not really well suited to a tight track, the one we're using today here on the Nelson track at Shannonville. But in terms of being able to use the bike and ride it for fun and safely in what is a relatively restricted area, it actually is great, and that's largely the throttle response. The bike has lots and lots of mid-range. Now you get it up to 7,000 RPM, things start to happen in a real hurry, and it gets very exciting, and it clearly is a 1,000cc sport bike. But compared to my memory of the bigger MVs, I really like it that this bike has really picked up some mid-range, and it's a little better behaved on the throttle. But the issue for me is this a unique experience, right? If you're going to spend this kind of money on any sport bike, and they're all good these days, are you going to get something different, something unique, something that isn't like the others? And that's getting harder to do given that we're so narrow focused and track performance is so essential in this category. So I think, would this be a nice street bike? Sure it would, to take on the track occasionally. Would you have fun? Is the bike fast enough? Does it handle well enough? Would you be comfortable riding it hard? And the answer for sure is yes. And I think it's a very polished product, and actually pretty good value for money, which is not something previously we might have said about an MV Agusta.
I've been racing the open road BMW S1000RR for the past 2 years, so I'm pretty familiar with that bike. One thing about this bike is it's a very compact feel. It's got a wicked induction noise. It's you want to hear that over and over again. Very quiet exhaust note though, so your neighbors aren't going to hate you. The riding position is very compact, a little more compact than what I'm used to. The brakes are great. Between the rotor and pad compound, they got it right. The brakes are perfect from the first time you pull them to the time they're warmed up. Didn't feel any different at all. And the power is very good. The power is supposed to be 180 horsepower. It didn't quite have the hit that I was used to on my race bike, but it's got very good power. We didn't really get much of an opportunity to adjust the suspension, so we kind of left it how it was. It's set up for the road. It's a little soft here at the racetrack. The gearbox feels very good. It's geared for the street, so you know, we weren't doing a lot of shifting. But one thing I noticed, especially going into turn 2, is the slipper clutch on this is fantastic. It does not feel like a production slipper clutch. It feels like one that's been highly tuned. The downshifts, you just change the gear, drop the clutch, and it takes care of the rest. It's a compact bike, but everything's where it should be. There isn't a long stretch to the bars. The seat isn't angled in such a way to drive you up towards the tank. The foot pegs are actually in a very good position. I don't know if I'd want to go across Canada on it in 5 days, maybe a little longer. After a few laps, I would say that it's a beautiful bike to look at. You know, this is one that you could sit in your garage and just stare at for a long time. It's a bike that it brakes very well. It's got lots of power, and the doodads on it are fantastic. You know, everything about this bike, it's got all the bells and whistles that you really want to have. It's got the steering damper right up front. Everything's adjustable. So, you know, a bit of time on this and you could really get this thing going well. You know, I don't know if I'd turn this into a race bike, but you know, for a street bike that you could you know, go and do some, you know, fast mountain roads and go to the Tim Hortons and just look at it, I think it's a winner.
Great job, guys. Still ahead, during our visit to Newfoundland, we ride to our heart's content. Stay with us. Portions of Motorcycle Experience are brought to you in part by Honda, BMW Motorrad, Closed captioning of this program is provided by Motovan.
Welcome back as Total Truck presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and it's time now for this week's Ultimate Ride. Today, Norm and I completely bypass Shag Rock to hit the 3 of Hearts.
During this season's Ultimate Ride, Norm and I have been touring Newfoundland, and last week we called it a day in a town known as the hub of the East Coast, Clarenville. It made for a great central jumping off point for our motorcycle tour of the island, thanks in part to its proximity to Highway 1. This week we're off to explore Trinity Bay, or more specifically the harbor three-peat along Highway 80, known as Heart's Delight, Heart's Desire, and Heart's Content. I gotta say, I bugged Norm to ride out here mainly because I was just fascinated by the unique names. Not to mention, we'd have to ride right by another Newfoundland landmark, Shag Rock.
Well, Norm, we hit Heart's Delight, heart's desire. And when we finally got to heart's content, I said, okay, enough. We got to stop here. It's been a great morning.
Yeah, absolutely. We started off in Clarenville, and the ride down Highway 1 was quite foggy and damp, but that Highway 1 is still a fun road to ride. It's it's big and wide open, but it's so smooth, and it's got a lot of elevation changes coming down from there and lots of big sweepers, so I really enjoyed that part of the ride this morning.
Yeah, we were able to open it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we pulled off onto 80 and started heading north. And this was really where we got into the sort of, let's just wing it. Let's just see what we can find today. And you know what? Turned out 80 was just a really nice road.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at the map, we thought, oh, we're going to be along the coast the whole way here today, so it'll be good fun. But it actually zigzags in and out of the coast because obviously there's all these coves that come in, so it's going to take you out and bring you back in. But even the forested riding that we were doing here was just fantastic. The road is beautiful, it's smooth, and it's just a real fun ride.
Yeah, and I really feel like today we're starting to see some real true Newfoundland. Like we're seeing people through their daily lives, and the fishermen again are back on the wharf and they're cleaning up after getting in. I don't know, I just feel like we're really sort of getting into the heart of the land.
Far less touristy, far less historic points where you have to stop and take a look at. Here, yeah, exactly, you're experiencing the people, and this is actually called the Bacalieu Trail,
right,
which goes up to Greats Cove, so I'm sure it's going to be like this, the whole way around kind of thing.
Well, riding tip for today, we started out, we had a little bit of rain, a little bit of fog. It's warmed up again. The sun was out just a second ago and we were up to 20 degrees. So second week of September, I think it's an ideal time to be here. No tourists on the road, but just watch out for the moose.
Yeah, and we haven't talked a lot about the moose, but apparently locals tell us that there's a great population here on the island, and you need to be aware. And I was a little apprehensive this morning riding in the fog on that highway. I was like, wow, I can't even see ahead of me here, and I wonder if one's going to just jump out all of a sudden. But yeah, kind of keep your wits about you.
All right, so we're going to continue to explore this Bacalieu Trail, and who knows what's up the road. Let's just keep hunting and pecking. Good stuff.
Let's go.
By the way, back in 1866, Heart's Content was the landing site for the world's first transatlantic telegraph cable. Anyway, next week we're off to Harbor Grace, where we made another amazing historic discovery. This one involving aviation. Still ahead, Brian digs in for round 5 in our 6-part challenge, while Aliki explores the learning curve. Stay with us.
Welcome back as Total Truck presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatchett. It's time now for this week's installment of The Learning Curve. Today, Aliki continues her examination of the Honda CBR 125 Challenge.
This season on Motorcycle Experience, Aliki's been exploring the various ways you can get into motorcycling. Last week, she found a very cool way to catch the motorcycle bug out at the racetrack by way of the Honda CBR 125 Challenge Road Racing Series. Created by Honda Canada back in 2008, the series uses small, lightweight sport bikes powered by 4-stroke singles. The championship was an immediate hit, as it turned out to be an extremely safe way for teens to get into racing. Case in point, last season's champion was 14-year-old Stacy Nesbitt from Saint-Lazare, Quebec. But as Aliki recently discovered, the CBR 125 Challenge isn't just for teens. Turns out it's also a really affordable way for anyone to cut their road racing teeth.
What motivated you to participate in the CBR 125 class?
Well, I've been watching them for about the last 2 or 3 years, and I thought it looked like a lot of fun. I've never had a chance to do it when I was younger myself, so everything came together and it just happened. I just decided to do it and made it happen.
So what do you think, what do people think at this stage of your life getting into racing?
Well, some people are really, really good. I got a friend of mine that helps me out a lot. He's into vintage racing, so he's got a little bit of experience as well. Other people think I'm crazy. They just think that why are you doing this at such a late age? You could get hurt, takes longer to recover. And I know all the risks, but that's something I'm willing to to take. Number one, I don't plan on getting hurt in the first place, so the recovery time doesn't bother me. But if I do, then take that as it comes.
What's it like riding one of these suckers anyway?
It's a blast.
Yeah.
It is so much fun. These kids out here are so fast, and just trying to keep up with them is just, I'm amazed that I can. Yeah, it's so much fun. It's you feel like you're doing 100 miles an hour out there, tucked in behind the windscreen and everything else. It just feels like you're going just like as fast as the superbike guys.
Right on.
And racing elbow to elbow with everyone else is so much fun. You can't describe it.
Is the affordability of the motorcycle one of the reasons why you chose to race in the
Absolutely,
CBR 125?
absolutely. It was definitely a price affordable. To go out and start into 600 or something like that, that's a big expense. And for me, not knowing whether I was going to like this or not, this is just an experiment for me. This is the cheapest way to get into it, and I would say the most fun. It was really a lot of fun.
Excellent. So what's your next step?
Next step, I might see about running this again next year. If Honda came out with the CBR 250 class, I would definitely move up to that, absolutely. I think the 600, I'm still not ready for that yet. It's a little much for me, price range and nerves. But I think the 250 would, if they come out with that, would be a great stepping stone for the next step.
Okay, Brian, thanks a lot for your time.
Great, thank you.
Good luck out there today.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Great job, guys. By the way, Honda Canada has now officially announced that it'll be supporting the brand new CBR 250R Racing Series for 2012. You can be sure that's where we'll find Brian twisting the throttle this summer. Now it's contest time. You may recall that a couple of years ago, Motorcycle Experience toured the north shore of the St. Lawrence, from Kingston to Quebec City, and visited more than a few forts and historic 1812 battlefield sites along the way. So in honor of the upcoming War of 1812 bicentennial this summer, we've put together a brand new Riders Club contest. The 1812 Riders Club contest, to be exact. All you have to do to enter is visit the motorcycleexperience.ca website and join our email Riders Club, just like these folks did. If you're already a Motorcycle Experience Riders Club member, then just reconfirm your email address. And that's it. You've entered. On June 3rd, 15 days before the 200th anniversary of the start of the war, we'll pick our winner. This year, we're giving away a very exclusive MV Agusta prize pack, full of all kinds of goodies, including a limited edition hardcover book and a full-face helmet. Good luck, everybody. Okay, folks, next, Brian Hudgen hits the motocross track. Talk about your blazing saddles. Portions of Motorcycle Experience are brought to you in part by Honda, BMW Motorrad. Welcome back as Toyota Truck presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatchin. This season we've been covering a 6-part challenge designed to put my friend Brian Hudgen's riding skills to the ultimate test. To date, we're staring at a tied 2-2 scorecard. So this week, with 2 rounds remaining, we've moved on to Brian's first love, motocross. And here at Sandali Motocross Track, it's all about the lap times.
Hello, Brian. Brian, come on, it's just a little challenge. Brian.
All right, what do you got for me?
Okay, well, welcome to challenge number 5. Here we are at Sandali MX Park. We're just south of Ottawa. And I understand that motocross is really your bread and butter. That's how you got into the sport?
That's right.
Okay, well then today's challenge, as I mentioned, it's 2 for 2 right now. You got to win this one. Today's challenge is, we're going to give you a little help. It's quite simple. A good lap time here at Sandali is about 2 minutes, 10 seconds. All you've got to do is go out, hit the course, come back with a 2:10 or better, and you've won the challenge.
Sounds easy enough. I'm a little out of shape and haven't rode in a while, but I'm sure we could do it.
Okay, so now the excuses are coming. Do you want a warm-up lap maybe?
Yes, I could go for one of those.
Okay, so new challenge. You get 1 warm-up lap, 1 hot lap. Beat 2:10 and you've won the challenge, okay?
Right on.
All right, get suited up, let's hit the course. You ready to go? Pretty slippery out there, eh?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, well, you were just a little off the mark. You didn't quite hit the 210. Sorry, man, but you gave it your best. Listen, to give you some advice, we've brought in Kevin Tyler here from MX 101. He's one of the top motocross instructors in the country. Kevin, have you got some advice to give, give him the edge?
Yeah, we've got a few things. I watched you do your hot lap. One, you're sitting down too much. So the problem being, as you enter the turns where you can see that the braking bumps start, while you're sitting down, those bumps are going to be more multiplied, your body's going to be shifting around, the center of gravity is going to be moving. So you want to be standing until the apex of the turn. The second one was, while you're standing in that, you want to be in an attack position where your head is up over the triple clamps. I noticed that you were riding off the back of the bike a little bit where, this big 450 is going to pull you around the track. You want to have your head up over the triple clamp so it's more of a push and pushing you along the track. And then the third that I noticed was in the corners with your leg. It's a big thing, dabbing that leg in the corner. The problem being, as you enter that turn, put the leg down, you think that you're doing it for balance and it feels comfortable, but you've got 2 problems. One is that you can catch an ankle or twist a knee while it drags in the dirt, and the second being, as it drags in the dirt, using it as a bit of an anchor, and it'll pull that center of gravity in the motorcycle into the inside, where you really have to then try and correct to bring the bike back.
That's 3 great pieces of advice right there. Is there anything we can do, Kevin, to ensure that he doesn't sit down?
Well, the big thing that we do for sitting down, just to help, correct the problem, is that we remove the seat.
Ha, I like that. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give you another shot at breaking that record of 210, but we're gonna take the seat off. You up for the challenge now?
All right.
Okay, let's get the wrench.
All right.
Nice stuff.
Okay, now this is going to be fun. Next week, we'll see if Brian takes Kevin Tyler's advice and aces the lap time. Bottom line, let's see how Brian likes riding the Sandalese circuit without a saddle.
Woohoo! Well, that's it for this week's program, folks. We're all out of time, but we leave you now with our roving reporter, Paul Connard. This week, he's up in Port Perry, Ontario, and he's found a very cool CB750. Looks like an early 70s. So until next week, keep your feet on the pegs and your right-hand crank. Bye for now.
Hey, Dave, you got to see this beautiful Honda. Jim, tell us about your bike.
Well, it's based on a CB750 from 1975. Custom frame, custom tank, custom fender, custom almost everything. The only thing I used from the original bike was the motor, the master cylinder, and the front downpipes.
Tell us about these 2 into 4 carburation. I've never seen that before.
It's a high-performance carb system put out by CycleX down in Wisconsin. And they're 34 Makunis, specially designed intakes, very, very sensitive. You got to get it spot on or they don't work.
And what's this bike like to ride?
It's a lot of fun, a lot of fun. A little hard on your rear end, but it gets you there in style.
Well, thank you very much for sharing this special piece with us.
You're welcome. Pleasure.